Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Glad to be here. Well, can you see me? I don't know that you can see me. Doop, doop, doop. I'm here, but I'm gonna just check because it looks like the screen is black. Oh, there we go. All right. Well, I thought today, to switch it up a little bit, I would show you each of the instruments I have. Oh, let me get on the screen. Okay. I have many instruments, as you can see, some behind me, and some in other rooms of the house. So I actually recorded some video of me playing a couple other instruments. But let's start with a couple in here. And I'll kind of teach not only what I have, but also a little bit about each instrument. And yeah. So first thing, right behind me is a drum set. It's a Pearl Midtown drum set with a few cymbals on it. It's got Xbox controllers on it. But yeah, I just moved this in here a couple of weeks ago, and I'm loving it because I can use my swirly chair and, be working on the computer here. And then I can turn around, ooh, and then play some drums if I wanted to with my tiny drumsticks. Might be a little loud. Let's see. So here's a quick bossa nova. Honestly, I'm a little out of practice on the drums because I have kids and I can't play them all the time. So that's instrument number one. Moving on up. So I have a few other percussion things around the house. Percussion is any instrument that you hit or shake or that makes noise out of itself, not with a note, like a piano or keyboard, but more like these. Here's a skull shaker. I enjoy that one. And this is a egg shaker, classic egg shaker. Can you hear? Even different shakers sound different. They're not all just shakers. And so I like to have both sitting here just because some songs when I'm recording need a brighter skull shaker. Some need a calmer egg shaker. I think I don't have too much percussion. A lot of times when I'm doing percussion, I'll just find cups or bowls or anything that makes sound and just hit that, because anything can be a percussion instrument. Excuse me. Cool. So moving on, I'm going to go towards the stringed instruments now. So a stringed instrument is anything like a guitar, a bass, a violin, cello, anything with strings. Technically, even a piano is sort of a stringed instrument because it's got strings in it. So I'll show you my piano too. But yeah, I'll go from biggest to smallest strings instruments. So let me turn on this other mic in the back of the room and show you the upright bass. So right here, let's see this microphone. I think this is on too. Yep. This is the upright bass. I got it less than a year ago from a friend, Ethan. He gave me a great deal, and it's a joy to play. It's one of my favorite types of instruments. It's hard to store in the house, but man, I love it. So yeah, that's the upright bass. I played it in the holiday show at 7th Street, but it can be played with a bow, though I don't have a bow. But the upright bass is great. This is a good way to get the low end without having to use an amplifier like my other basses. So, moving on. So I said I was going to go biggest to smallest. So the next biggest is maybe my electric basses, of which I have two. This was my first one. You won't be able to hear it because I don't have it plugged in, but it's a fretless, which means just like this big guy, it means that there's no frets. This one looks like there is frets, but those are just markers. Let me get closer. Yeah, this was my first, not my very first bass, but my first bass as an adult that I got. It looks like there's frets, but really this is a smooth fingerboard. And you can get really, I don't know if you can hear that, but you can get nice kind of slidey sounds with it. So that's a fretless bass, and the one I use with when playing with the Pat Hole Band, I like using the fretless because it's a little bit looser and a little bit more, I don't know, organic feeling. But when I want to play more funky bass lines, I go over to this other bass, which is the which is actually the same exact type of bass, a Fender Jazz bass, but this one just has frets. So it's the same shape. I really like the wood grain on this one, but yeah. This one I play when I need to get like a little bit more funky or a little bit more technical or fast playing. I'll use this one because the frets really help play accurately. So those are my three basses, these two being bass guitars and this guy being the upright bass. Moving down in size, the next smaller guitar I have is probably this guy. Oh. Maybe my largest guitar. It's the 12 string, also a Yamaha, just like oh, never mind. I just recorded a video in the garage, just like my organ. But this is a out of tune. There we go. A 12 string guitar, which means each string, if you look closely, it's like a jungle in here. Each string looks like one string, but actually is two strings. So, for instance, this string here has a high and a low. So when I play them together, kind of has that. It's a little out of tune, but has that cool sound. But because there's two strings, it's a lot of tension and actually kind of hard to play. But it's got a cool kind of spacey sound to it. I don't play this guitar too often, but when I do, I have a lot of fun. Moving on now, I'll go to my regular acoustic, which is my oldest guitar. It's actually, I have two old guitars that I've had pre-fire, one that I had since I was a kid, and one that I got in high school. So let me show you those. So I was able to, luckily, save this guitar, which is a classical guitar. So I was able to pull it off the wall when leaving for the campfire. But this is my oldest guitar. I got it from my great uncle when I was, actually my grandpa got it from his brother when he passed away. And then I got it from my grandpa. So this guitar's been in the family for the longest. Has a nice sound. So a classical guitar or Spanish guitar has nylon strings instead of steel, so that gives it that nice warm tone. For a long time, this was the only guitar I played. I love playing this guitar. Has some stickers on it. So one more acoustic guitar here. This is my steel string, my Taylor. This is the guitar I play when I play shows a lot. Has a nice sound. Kind of a classic acoustic guitar. So that's my Taylor acoustic guitar. So yeah, this is the type of instrument that a lot of folk musicians use, rock musicians. The good old acoustic. Moving on. I don't have the space to show you my my amplifiers, or I have one amplifier and a bunch of pedals and stuff. But maybe I'll show that some other time. I built the cabinet, and it's a kind of an old PA speaker from the 20s, like where they would do school announcements. And the speaker from that is what I use for a guitar amp, which is kind of cool. But yeah, my electric guitar you've seen. This is the guitar I play. I play this for morning pages. This is just a Fender Stratocaster. Yeah, I play this anytime I play an electric guitar gig. I use this one. So yeah, it's my only electric guitar. I have some electric basses, but this is my standby. I have a lot of instruments, but I don't really have two of anything. I only have one of each type. That sort of keeps it limited for me, but not too limited. Moving on. This is a banjo that actually Memo, the world dance teacher, gave me. And this is, classic banjo. It's out of tune. So yeah, it's a banjo. I admittedly don't practice enough on this, so I just kind of play it like I play a guitar. So moving on. Okay, now I think I've went through all of my guitars except for the very teeniest. I gotta get close for this one. This is a ukulele I got for Olive after the fire. She had a regular size, but she saw this at the store and could not turn it down. And it's always out of tune because she gets a hold of it, so I'm not even going to try to tune it right now, but it's just a little ukulele. So yeah, it's very, especially for my big fingers, it's hard to play, but it's really fun. It's fun to switch it up and play something really tiny sometimes. So that's a tiny ukulele, a 4-stringed Ohana soprano uke. So moving on, I think that's all my stringed instruments. There's one more. I have one more nylon string guitar that's Olive's. It's in the living room. It's similar to the one I have that I just showed you with all the stickers, but it's a smaller scale. So it's made kind of for learning kids to learn guitar. But I don't need to show that at the moment. Moving on to a different type of instruments, let's go to the keyboard or piano instruments, of which I have several. What's cool about these is that once you learn the piano, you can play any other kind of keyboard, whether it be electric piano or organ or toy piano or synthesizer. They all have the same kind of keys, which is really just one main reason that I encourage any musician to learn at least the basics on piano. So when I'm working on the computer, I have this guy right here. It's a, an Arturia synthesizer. Actually, no, it's just a MIDI controller, which means that it's basically just a remote control. It has no sounds in it. But when I press the keys, my computer has the sound, so it controls my computer through a keyboard. So I can set it to sound like whatever. I can have it sound like a guitar or a spaceship or a dog barking, whatever I want. So that's really handy. I don't know if I can get all the way to it, but if I turn here, over here, I have a Rhodes Mark II stage piano. It's kind of out of the way, and I can't move my whole computer to see it. But I have done a couple Morning Pages videos on it. It's an electric piano, which means that instead of strings, the little hammers, when I hit the keys, hit little metal bars, and they make a beautiful kind of bell sound. Yeah. So now I'm going to actually run out to the garage, and I've pre-recorded a video. So here's an instrument in the garage. Hey, welcome to the garage. This is my Yamaha organ. It's got many sliders, and it's even got foot pedals for bass sounds. Which it's tricky to manage all of them at once, but yeah, so I've got a bottom keyboard and top keyboard. Both have a different sound. For instance, I can change wood, horn, or cello sounds. What's a cello? This is called cello sound. And here's horn. And here's wood. Slightly different. But I could mix the two, so a little bit of wood, a little bit of horn, and then maybe a little tiny bit of cello. So then I get a nice sound. And then the top has many more sounds. There's flute, trombone. Those are just names they call the sounds, but they don't really sound like them. For instance, string. Doesn't sound like a string instrument, but it's cool. There's 3 different flutes. There's a low one, a medium, and then there's a high. And I can mix them together. So like a little medium and high sounds like this. Yeah, there's a drum machine. I can put on like, the buttons are a little bit iffy, but once I get them going, there. There's also a reverb tank in here, so I can, it's made out of a spring, and I don't know if you can hear the echo. It's kind of cool sound. And also, oh, my favorite part is there's a spinning speaker in it. So I can press this button, tremolo, let's see, on. And then maybe, there we go. Hear how it goes, whoa, 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 whoa. That's because there's a speaker in there that spins real fast. And I can change the speed. So yeah, I'll play maybe a little short number on it real quick. Trying to use the bass pedals as well as the. Let me try to prop this up. Try to use the bass pedals as well as both the keys here. You got the idea. All right, well, so thanks for visiting the garage. Don't think I have any other surprise instruments in here, so let's go back inside. All right, this is my living room piano. It's the one I play every day. It's probably the instrument I play the most. You can see my big old painting in the background on the wall, and all the plants and landscape paintings I've done. I try to curate this area with Ginger to make it really nice and natural and feel good to play. So I end up playing here a lot. So yeah, this is just a upright, what is it? Harrington piano. I got it for free after the campfire. A friend of ours, this is her childhood piano, and her parents were getting rid of it, and so I'm blessed to get to play it now. And that's my living room piano. Back to the office. All right. So I hope you liked that tour of my garage and living room. So back in the office, there was one percussion instrument I forgot. This little guy. It's supposed to have a little stick, but I don't have it. Nice wood block sound. Anyways, and there's one more stringed instrument actually I forgot, and then we'll get back to my final keyboard. This stringed instrument, which is one I started learning for a couple days and then have neglected, but a violin. Yeah, this is a super fun. This was also a gift to me. Most of my instruments, I would say, are actually gifts. What's cool about being known as somebody that has a lot of instruments is when somebody wants to get rid of one, they call you. But let's see if I can get a note. I'll stop there. Well, that's my my violin. It's a student violin, but I think it's nice. It looks nice. It doesn't sound nice when I play it, but I've had a friend play on it that can play, and he made it sound good. So yeah, saving that for a rainy day when I feel like learning violin, I guess. A big reason I have so many is because I do a lot of recording, and I like to have different instruments on my recording. So I like to have a little knowledge of how to play things just to get maybe one part in every once in a while. Here's a fun keyboard. That I've... Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah. Oh. This guy I got, I think, at a thrift store. And this one's fun. I really recommend any musician to have a cheap little toy piano. This is a Yamaha Portasound, but it's got a lot of kind of cheesy sounds, but I kind of like them. And in the context of recording, a lot of times they sound great. There's drum machines and stuff, just your classic. I like the piano sound on it. Or the clarinet's really nice. When I use this one, a lot of times I'll put it through my guitar pedals and volume pedals and stuff, and it sounds really cool. Kind of lo-fi sound. Yeah, that's that. Off. All right, where were we? So, I think it's about time. I got all my stringed instruments. I've got all my keyboard instruments and percussion out of the way. So now it's time to go to wind instruments. So there's many different types of wind instruments. The first one I see in front of me is this bamboo flute. Not really sure where it came from. I got it from Music Connection. The owner gave it to me because it was a gift. So here's this bamboo flute. It's kind of difficult to play, but it has a nice sound. I actually really like playing this just for relaxation. It's a nice breath technique, and it doesn't have too many notes. There's not too much to think about. Unlike this next instrument, which is in this old case. This was actually Gail's, and she gave it to me, which was nice. Actually, it's Gail's husband's. But this is a saxophone. And forgive me on this one. I did practice it for a couple weeks, and then I kind of let it go because there's a few keys on it that are broken or sticky, and it doesn't quite work all the way. But that's okay. Let's see if I can make a sound out of it. That's about as good as I'm gonna get today. Yeah, this is something. It needs a little bit of work, but I've gotten it. I used to be able to do a scale on it. I don't know if I can remember how though. Like I said, a couple of keys are kind of broken. Anyways, so that's that's a saxophone, and I'm not going to torture you with it, but that's the idea. One other instrument that's similar, kind of. So this is a reed instrument because it has these little wooden reeds that vibrate when I blow into them. But the other type of wind instrument, actually I have one of each. I have a woodwind, which is like this, where the air goes through a hole or across a hole to make the sound. I have a reed instrument, that's a saxophone, and this is actually in the brass family. And this was from another Mains'l employee who gave me this as a gift. A tiny trumpet, a pocket trumpet. And I've practiced this more than the other two, so I know some of the notes, but still pretty rusty. I like this trumpet because I can hold it in one hand. It's very portable. I'm not great at it, but that's the trumpet. All right. And believe it or not, I think that might be it. I think that might be all of the instruments that I have at this current time. I undoubtedly use my voice a lot as an instrument. And there's other little things I do. There's a lot of digital instruments I use, like on the iPad here. There's a bunch of synthesizers. Let's see if I turn it up in here through the microphone. Whoa, that's a crazy sound. But yeah, there's like a lot of kind of robot-y sounds on here. But if I ever want to sound like a robot, I can pull out the iPad and get some cool. There's also this one. What's cool about the iPad is you get some instruments that you play in very interesting ways that aren't traditional. Like this one is just a square that you just tap different areas. So it's nice. It's nice to get out of the box with these digital instruments sometimes, because it takes a lot of practice to play the drums or the guitar or definitely the violin and the saxophone. But there's other instruments that you can just pick up and play, which are really fun to have around too. Just like this one. This is a kazoo, a golden kazoo. Yeah, it's basically just a little vibrating piece of paper under a metal thing, so it makes it loud. And when you hum, it vibrates the paper. And yeah, simple little toy, but I've seen it used for kind of fun effects. Speaking of fun effects, I do actually have a few other little silly sound effect things around the house, but with a toddler, I don't know where they went. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for Michael's musical tour today. I hope you learned something about an instrument. If you have any questions, you can type them in, and I'll read them later. So take care. I'll see you tomorrow for another drawing video, and I'll see you. What day is it? Thursday for another. I'll see you Friday for another music video. Sorry, it's really hard to keep track of the days, you know. But I hope you're all well and take care and keep on jamming.